يأكل حيان معمل يأكل حفاش في سوكل ميتا زماكل يأكل حيان معمل يأكل حفاش في سوكل ميتا زماكل زنان من حق يأكل بمبار تدهيب من لنا بدرجة نوفا بحبان وني يأكل دانبت زنان من حق نحسنو زنان يأكل حيان معبل يأكل حفاش في سوكل ينيرترا زماكل يأكل حيان معبل يأكل حفاش في سوكل ينيرترا زماكل يأكل معبل يتوفر كم نبيل مسيحان نتزكالا نبس بمتسخاص يأكل بهزبي استبار مقالافات حقيف كل وحال بخير يأكل حيان معبل يأكل حفاش في سوكل بيرترا زماكل يأكل
Oh, okay.
All right. Should we go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Greetings, listeners. Thank you for joining us. My name is Emmanuel Berhe from coming to you from New York City. This is Baito Yiakl USA production. Today, our discussion will be around PFDJ Deaf festivals and its ramifications. Today, to discuss this, we have two guests joining us. I'm delighted to introduce to you to amazing young brothers who are extremely social conscious, who never forgot where they came from, who by their actions seem to believe the mantra, I am my brother's keeper, who are doing their darnest to create a better Eritrea for their people. They are in the front lines and in the trench. No pun intended for Captain Eritrea. Eritrea for our people. My guests are Jonas Woldu. This young man is involved deeply in justice promotion and volunteers in congressional and presidential races. And currently, he is a representative of Las Vegas in Baito Yiakl USA, and is currently in the diplomacy task force. The second young man who is known by his stage name, Captain Eritrea, who is in Facebook Live, tackling justice and human rights and fairness. Thank you for coming, guests. Glad to have you, and
thank you.
Please introduce yourselves to. I'm sure everybody knows you, but to just get started, introduce yourself. I'll start with you, Jonas.
Okay. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. That was a good introduction too. So my name is Jonas Woldu, and head of diplomacy for Baito Yiakl USA. And it's exciting what we're doing, how we're working with the people in Congress, different NGOs, different countries. It's good. And one thing we all have in common, we all want to have justice, and we all want to have peace, stability, and prosperity. Um, as far as the festival, we'll get into that. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction in terms of congressional and volunteering that I do with the Democratic Party. It's very rewarding. It's all free, no compensation. It's very rewarding, and I'm able to meet a lot of people. And they recognize that our issues, hands on. They recognize our issues, and they're actually doing their best to push things through. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonas. Cap, you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I guess you had a little trouble coming in.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm glad you're here. So introduce yourself.
Thank you. Sorry about me being in my vehicle. I'm running around handling a bunch of different tasks.
That's okay. Technology is good. We can hear you loud and clear.
Right. I can pull over and speak to whoever I want. Right.
Yes.
So I want to say thank you for having me, Baito. It's a pleasure to continue to work with you. It's a pleasure to be one of your soldiers. Underground soldiers is what I call Team Freedom. Furthermore, the good fight. I call it the good fight. We're here struggling and fighting despite the odds. Sometimes it can get overwhelming, but I got people like Jonas Waldu, you, sir, Baito Yiakl, all these justice seekers uniting together, working together. And this is what gives us youth that know what's really happening in Eritrea and how our country seeks freedom. And that gives us the power and the will to continue. But before we get into this venue, I would like to say, hey, if you're watching and you're not doing anything, we need you to stand up and find a way you can assist instead of just sitting and watching. Because it's easy to watch and ridicule, easy to watch and say this guy's good, this guy's bad, but at least we're speaking. So do your part and help us, and I think we can achieve our goal a lot faster. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Like I was going to ask you to do that at the end of the show, but you're ahead of me. Thank you. Anyway, as you can see, these two emerging leaders and or future leaders are the ones who are going to be inheriting Eritrea. And like he said, every one of us have to do our bit. So let's get to our discussion. Today, we're going to be discussing our festivals going on by the PFDJ and the Higdaf in select areas in America and in Europe. So this Higdaf and PFDJ, the powers to be, have instructed their operatives in the U.S. and in Europe, everywhere else, to activate their campaign. So let's start with the basics. What is a festival anyway? What do you understand? What are your thoughts about this? Years ago, the PLF used to do festivals. What are they about? What do they do them for? Yeah, I'll start with you, Yoni.
Okay, so for me, the festival in my world, probably in the late '90s, '98, and then it was huge during that time, and then it started dying out and so forth. And so through my observation, the money was pretty much going it was more of a governmental thing. And if you remember, there was a 2-year war that happened in '98. And before that, I'd never heard of the festival, me personally, before '98, before '97, '98. And then after time goes by, if you observe it, I don't think even after the peace agreement, there was nothing significant going through that during that time. Then all of a sudden, fast forward to now, you're seeing it. So there's a correlation between when the government needs money and the festivals. So I definitely see a correlation there. And so It's unfortunate that they're using the people's love of the country, the people's love of each other, to raise money. That's very unfortunate, for their own intentions, for war. That's just very sad. As opposed to using the people's love for the country, love for each other, to make the country better. The facts and the truth is in the reality. Organization like Hidri Trust, Red Sea Corporation, look at their checking account, and then look at the every Eritrean's checking account, and then you'll see the gap. You'll see the difference. You'll see the differences in lifestyle. It's significantly different. So the evidence is in the reality, is how I would like to put it.
Yes, thank you, Yoni. I couldn't agree more. Cap, what are your thoughts about the festivals?
Yes, sir. So for me, what is the actual definition of a festival? It's a day in a period of celebration, typically a religious commemoration, and some festivals are an organized series of concerts, plays, movies, or fun, right? And festivals are usually utilized to bring a group of people together in solidarity and unity. Now, with that being said, the issue that lies within this specific festival, this what I call PFDJ Higdef festival, is PFDJ has systematically found a way to feed off the diaspora from a distance, right? So the organization Higdef or PFDJ, that's within Eritrea, the one that we are supposedly combating as justice seekers, has found a way to finance itself, utilizing the very same people that are fighting it. How, you ask? Myself, Jonas, a bunch of other young people, majority of the youth, have no clue growing up that these festivals, these soccer tournaments, these Higdef artists, singers were utilized in that capacity. We just wanted to be with our brothers and sisters, and we thought, hey, there's a Gwaila, there's a festival, soccer tournament, whatever. We're gonna go over there, we're gonna celebrate and support our people. Spend $200-300 each, and so on. Now imagine if each individual did that. If 1 million people spent $300, to you, you've only spent $300 on a festival for a shirt or whatever it is as you're having fun. Even a minimum of $100 times 1 million people. Do the math. And this is the same funding source that's utilized to enslave our brothers in Libya, force them out, our mothers that are starving in Eritrea, and everything else that the regime is pushing upon the people. We're funding it indirectly, inadvertently, without us knowing, either way. At one point, even if you understand it, you ask yourself, who am I? Can I even make a change? Does it really matter if my $20? Yes, it matters. Your $20 is causing issues within Eritrea. So now that you know, because no one can say they don't know anymore, because we're telling you, it's your duty to assist in stopping these festivals. Now, with saying that, we're not saying we're attempting to stop Eritreans from having fun or uniting. No, you can have a festival as Eritreans together. That's not a problem. We are one people, one country, one love, one unity. But when there's an organization, a criminal network organization, eating off the disparity and suffering of the innocent people of Eritrea, that's when it's an issue. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Cap. You did your homework. I did the same thing. I looked at the festival was just to see is there anything that I don't understand. And you're absolutely right. It is religious or some sort of celebration. Yeah, just to as a follow-up question, what is there to celebrate? You know, as we know, the last 2 years. Yeah, forget about the last 28 years. The last 2 years, our people has been suffering tremendously, and our young people have gone to the neighboring country to Tigray for war, and almost, I think, 100,000+ people have died. What is there to celebrate? And recently, there is no electric power, there is no water, there's no food, no vaccine to get for COVID. What is there to celebrate, or what is to have a festivities for? If you could just add to that.
I mean, as far as celebration, I always try to find a way to look at the bright side. And one thing we can celebrate is for global Yiakl merger, for all the people who are advocating for more justice. That's what we can celebrate about. But in terms of inside Eritrea, the oppression, no one can celebrate that. It's impossible, and no one should be ignoring that. It's not practical. And so the people who are ignoring it, it's a shame. That's what it comes down to. And so these events, a lot of people, they try to say, oh, don't make the event political and things like that. Recognize.
But it is.
Yeah, recognizing the humanity of Eritreans is not political. Let's get that clear. Ignoring the humanity, the injustices that happen to the Eritreans, that's just wrong. That's political. Ignoring it because you want to have a festival. So this festival is political, in a sense that it's ignoring the injustices that are happening to the humanity. If you're going to the event just to have a good time, I mean, call it what it is. It's just selfish. That's all it is. And there's 4 reasons why people support PFDJ. 1 is out of fear. 2 is out of selfishness. 3 is out of foolishness. And then 4, of course, is going to be they're purely evil. There's a solution for all 4. And so what I encourage is for the selfishness people to think how much more you'll have when there's justice in the country. For the foolish ones, just pick up a book, associate with more educated people, with virtuous people. For the evil ones, jail time. You just have to be detained. For the ones who are in fear, just surround yourself with people that can empower you, build up courage, build up a good support system. But the reality is this PFDJ event is not an event that one should support, especially if you care about humanity and if you care about Eritrean people. If anything, join the people who are pro-justice and join their events, because their events is growing and addresses are known in advance. They're not hidden like the PFDJ events are hidden, and there's a reason why they're hidden. And so that's the reality of the situation. I just wanted to express that, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Annie. Good explanation. Cap, you mentioned about the money that's spent from the diaspora, and everybody knows we are the cash cow, and they get tremendous amount of money from this. Is this what they're doing it for? Just to get money? And where does that money go? Where do they spend it? What do they spend it for? I'm sure everybody's aware where it's going, because cash is fungible. You can put it anywhere. But what do they do? How what does the government benefit from here, from having festivals?
That is an excellent question, sir. If you think about the economical state of Eritrea and the geopolitical aspect, if we actually dissect the situation, how do you end the regime's power? You choke out the money. That's how you end the regime's power. It's the simplest way to explain it. Now, Eritrea is under sanctions and continues to be under sanctions. Eritrea is one of 5 countries that supports Russia invading Ukraine, which shows a systematic decline internally. And it also proves to the world that is not seeking democracy. But Eritrea has to have a fund source, because if the people are suffering and suffering and starving and have no money, then what is the government to do? The government is also as well has to eat and fund itself. So the way to do that is feed off the diaspora. The diaspora, by sending your 2%. Now think about this. 2% of whatever you make, from the Higda fights, from the Eritreans that want to go home, from the Eritreans that want to visit their brother and sister, from the Eritreans that don't want to lose their villa or their land. This 2% that they pay, regardless if it's annually or semi-annually, however it works, on top of the festivals, on top of the endless GoFundMe for Captain Eritrea's got a flu today and all these other GoFundMes that we see.
Right.
Imagine the amount of funding that's going into Eritrea to keep the government running. And the government is probably most likely, in my professional opinion, at a minimum, pocketing 50%, if not 80%. And the rest of the percentile that's left is utilized to fund wars. And what are the wars for? The wars have nothing to do with specific government organizations. It's all about money. It's all about land grabbing. It's all about empowerment of individuals wanting then complete ultimate power over the Horn of Africa. But ultimately, when you talk about the funding, it's all going to the government specifically. Besides Safarki, it is said, right, that overseas account has over 600 million to a billion, if not over. One of the highest paid Eritrean, or I'm sorry, African presidents, makes the most amount of money in a Swiss account. Whereas Ethiopia supposedly has 10 million pre-Abiy Ahmed. So you ask yourself, why do we have beggars in Eritrea? Why are people pushed to bars and prostitution to feed their families? Why isn't Beles enough to feed your family? Why isn't selling Beles enough to feed your family? Because there's a taxation within Eritrea. In fact, as an Eritrean, if you're going to go in there and start a business, the government will start a business next to you to put you out of business. Why, you ask? Because not only is the government or the person going against you and starting their business does not have to pay taxation, import, export, the same way you do, it's systematic. They don't want anything growing in Eritrea. They don't want any businesses opening in our country. The government has total control over the population. That's where the money goes. The money's not going to Sawa. The money's not, other than maybe funding of weaponry, if that. And the way Isai Safarki is getting weapons to fund his wars is not specific. It's not money. It's he's working trades and deals with Russia and China Beltway, and will let you have a naval station in place in Eritrea. That's how he's working the money and the military power within Eritrea. He's not spending his money, believe me. But as far as where all that money goes, it is not going to the people of Eritrea. It's not going to the infrastructure. It is not going to those colonization Italian buildings that were so magnificent to look at, because they're all run down. It definitely ain't going to the school system, and it's not going to solar energy or water or electricity. So then where does it go? Individuals' pockets. That's where it goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Cap. You're absolutely right, and that's the sad part. The countries are worried about foreign currency reserve because they have to pay or buy petroleum or things that they have to import. This guy doesn't have to spend anything because he's starving everybody. And you're absolutely right. And the money, I'm sure, there's no explanation necessary here. It goes to the pockets of very few individuals. Now, besides the money, what Yoni started in 1998 after the Ethio-Eritrean War. Festivals were going on. Festivals have been going on since the 80s. There's a Bologna festival in the 80s. There's a DC area festivals. They were big, but at the time, people were doing it so that it was called in Tigrinya dinner for Tagarilti, and it was a good thing. It was a holy thing to do that. But now the popularity of Hagdaf or PFDJ is going down. And after they dropped the festivals after 1998-2000, they're reviving it now. They're resurrecting it now. Besides the money, is there any other motive for them to do that? maybe they're losing their approval ratings, so to speak.
I'm not really sure because I think everything that they do revolves around power and money. So maybe they're trying to galvanize more people who, either way you look at it, wrong is wrong. I think what happened was they thought that the issue in Tigray they're gonna end soon, and they thought that Tigray was not gonna fight back. They didn't think that, and so because they thought wrong, now and then they didn't think they're gonna get re-sanctioned, right? And they didn't think that Russia would ever get sanctioned. They didn't think that either. And so at the end of the day, they thought wrong is what it comes down to. And when you're wrong in principle, you're going to be wrong all the way through. And so the fact that they're oppressing Eritrean people, that's where it starts off. That's where they were wrong at. So that injustice spread over to Tigray. So this festival that's being done, I think is strictly to raise money for their support. And the fact that people are said to be galvanized to an address that does not disclose, they don't even know where they're going on top of that. And if they do know where they're going, it's very few. And that's what it comes down to. And in the event that there is an event, if there's an event, then that's just more evidence of the money laundering. That's more evidence of what they're not supposed to be doing. Because it's a sanctioned country here from the U.S., and there's no reason to continue this war. If anything, they need to be on the table doing a peace agreement or resigning for that matter, because even their peace agreement, whatever peace agreement that they decide to do, can't be trusted. The evidence is what just happened in 2019. So it's a very complicated situation, but the reality is they're doing this for money. Go ahead, Amani.
All right. Thank you, Yoni. Kat, is there any, besides the money, is there anything that they are gunning for when they do programs or when they do this? Some people say, I want you to answer another question attached to that. Some people say that because Hagdaf has lost tremendous popularity, even its own Hagdaf ardent supporters, after seeing Eritrea, after seeing Asmara, they're so disappointed. They're losing support. The days of this huge gala type festivals are gone, and now they're very few people go there, and because of the war in Tigray, their popularity has gone way down. Is there any truth that they're trying to get their popularity up, to get the people through Hagarawinet or nationalism, to get their support up? How true is that? Is there any merit to that effect?
Absolutely. One thing we have to take into account is Higdef, PFDJ. Well, for starters, for the people in English, what is PFDJ? PFDJ is People's Front for Democracy and Justice. Now pay attention. People's Front for Democracy and Justice. If you are an outsider, American, European, or whatever, you would read that and be like, wow, this is an organization fighting for freedom and justice. So your scope is not going to be on that organization. You're looking for a terroristic name. That's what you're looking for. So that's a brilliant way to move under the guise of People's Front for Democracy and Justice, right? That's a brilliant way to move. I have to hand it to them. And the reason why they move that way is that way there's a cover-up and people are not really highlighting or targeting them. That's why they utilize that name. Secondly, Higdef has lost a lot. They've lost a lot of money. PFDJ has lost a lot of money. Why PFDJ? Their youth are not coming to camps. They try to start organizations and internal gangs like Airy Blood and this and that, and none of it is successful. Why, you ask? Because the Eritrean people, systematically or socially, if you break the Eritrean people, you have the elders that have been to war. You have the elders that understand what happened in Eritrea. They know the truth. You have the ones in their 40s and 30s that understand PFDJ and Higdef. And then you have the ones in their 20s and their teens that just want to party. But in the end, regardless of what they know about Eritrea, they know that one power for 30 years is called dictatorship. No matter where you're at in the world, you understand that. Therefore, of course, is losing fame. Of course, is losing his followers. And it seems like the Delati Fathi or the justice seekers all over the world, regardless of their viewpoints or agendas, have grown stronger themselves. Now you ask yourself, what must Higdef do to gain followers? One, Higdef will utilize the Eritrean flag as a way to wave in front of you and say, are you not Eritrean? Are you not Eritrean? Do you not support this? You're going to look at that flag and say, yes. Then if that doesn't work, they're going to use our martyrs against you. They're going to say, do you not support our martyrs? What's wrong with you? Are you not Eritrean? All the people that died for our land, and you're going to feel bad, you're going to feel guilty, and you're going to want to support. This is where you become a diet Higdef, as Jonas and I like to say, right? What is diet Higdef? You're a nationalist, but you're unsure and how you want to move. So therefore, what you do is you say, I'm Eritrean, and you want to prove you're Eritrean so bad, you go above and beyond. So what does Higdef do? What is their tactic? Higdef is brilliant when it comes to psychological warfare. Higdef is smart when it comes to, not because you have a bunch of smart people. If a thief has been stealing for 5 years, he's novice. If a thief has been stealing for 10 years, he's in the middle somewhere. If a thief has been stealing for 30 years, he's an expert. He's not brilliant. He's just an expert thief.
No, yeah.
Yeah, he can flawlessly steal your mind, your brain, your pocket without you even knowing it. In fact, he can make it to where you set up the environment and you support him in robbing you. This is what a thief is good at. So what do? They create faces and musicians and get me and poets like Awal Saeed, and they give him new hair and they tell him to lose weight and they give him a suit and he waves the Eritrean flag and he says to you, I am Sawa. He says to you, I fought for this country. He says to you, I believe in Nine Behers. Sha'ate Beher Shidishta Zoba. You're like, yeah. And then you support Awal Saeed, even if you're not Higdef. So this is how you rile your base up. This is a campaign against the Eritrean people. And what has been happening for 30 plus years, the Eritrean government has been campaigning against its own people to maintain its power. And the people have constantly eaten and swallowed and eaten and taken out their wallets and provided everything for the Eritrean government. But not one time has the people thought to themselves, wait a minute, I'm being robbed. But who's robbing me? I'm robbing me. I'm robbing me because I'm giving my money to the thief myself, not by force, but by want. Marinate on that. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's a very good sermon, sir.
That was good.
That was good. I couldn't agree more. They are an expert. They are the experts of deception. These masters of deception. They are, and they have studied the Nazi global propaganda, dissemination, tactics. They have mastered it. And this is not new, and they keep on doing it. Every time they fail, they just have to do something to maintain the status quo. And I was discussing with some people, and a lot of people say the reason they're doing this is because they're afraid, they're worried of the opposition. Especially worried of, like you, Captain, and Yiakl. So how worried are they about Yiakl? This small 2019 creation has blossomed to a global Yiakl, and people are supporting it, one way or another. So how worried is it to resort to this kind of well, by the way, this is one small part of their campaign, because they recognize that they lost the PR campaign for the last 2 years, so they're trying to do something about it. So they've lost. So how worried are they about Yiakl, or in general the opposition? Like you, Jonas, and Cap. How worried are they?
They're 100% worried. When you ask me how worried are they, they're 100% worried. They've already experienced a couple shutdowns. And Houston, for example, everybody galvanized and got them kicked out of the hotel. They had to revert to a private location. Even that location got reported. And then they're also worried because of what happened in Seattle. They're worried about that. So these events force them to recognize that there is a group of pro-justice Eritreans that are standing up against them, to the point where they're actually hiding their next location. They just recently posted addresses of hotels and so forth. Guess what's going to happen to those hotels? It's not a secret. They're going to be shut down too. And so the reality is they're 100% worried. And the reason why we have to be strong like this, is so we can be examples for other pro-justice Eritreans, so we can give them empowerment, so they can get away from the fear. That's what it comes down to. So yeah, they're at 100% worried because of the personal experience they experienced on their other previous events. And they're also worried because they know that they're sanctioned. So they know they have to move in secrecy. They know that. And they're also worried because the people that used to support them, when they heard the word Ikasetnan, that flipped out. That made a lot of people flip out. Right. Because a lot of the people who were supporters did lose a lot. And the fact that Isaias didn't even recognize that. And then as far as Badaman, he didn't even resolve that after the peace agreement. Of course they're worried. They're worried is because all their lives are being exposed step by step. Right now, they're also worried because Eritrean soldiers, Eritrean people are dying in Ethiopia for no reason. They shouldn't even be out there. So of course they're worried. They're also worried because they're running out of money. Of course they're worried. So that's what I wanted to explain in terms of them being worried. They're definitely 100% worried. They're going to remain worried to the point where they're out of a position, out of power, out of money. And then all pro-justice Eritreans are working in solidarity in different organizations, which I promote different organizations. I promote people to working together in solidarity. What I don't promote is people undermining one another and not working collectively together for the common cause of justice and democracy in Eritrea. Go ahead.
No, thank you, Yoni. You're absolutely right. But to keep them worried, we should be on the hill. We need to chase them. We can't let our guards down. Cap, do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, sir. So Jonas is absolutely right. When you say worried, they shouldn't be worried. They should be terrified. Here's why. The reason why I made it a point to come out, other than my father motivating me, my mother and my brothers and so on, is if you think about the youth, there's more active justice seekers, younger justice seekers now. It isn't the older or the elders and the mid-range people going out. You have the youth actually waking up, starting their own thing, doing their own thing. The only problem I see within our organizations is we always get to the 9th inning, we never hit the home run, right? And here's why. Let me explain why. You get an organization like Yiakl. What they do is, let me tell you how smart this criminal is. Let me tell you how smart this thief is. They'll send moles and rats to infiltrate organizations like Yiakl. And they'll sit there at the bottom and feed and work their way up slowly. Then what they do is they attempt to tarnish the name of Yiakl, right? But the justice seeker, the Eritrean justice seeker, shouldn't care about what someone said about Yiakl. Let Yiakl tell you about Yiakl, right? Captain can't tell you about Yiakl. Only Yiakl could tell you about Yiakl as an organization. Another organization like Bright Future. Let Bright Future tell you about Bright Future. But one commonality we have is we're all justice seekers. We all seek the freedom of our people in our country. We can work on that. We can work upon that. So you can get all these organizations, put them under one umbrella, and call them, for example, Eritrean justice seekers or global Yiakl or whatever, and we can all fight for the same goal. That is the only step that remains to defeat PFDJ, to defeat Higdef. The day we all come together collectively is the day they will all run for the hills. We have all these organizations, and that's okay. Everyone has their own ideas, but we must come under one umbrella and work together. I am a servant before I am a leader. I am the Eritrean people's servant. That is my sole responsibility. Whether they like me or not, it doesn't matter. In my brain, in my mind, I know what's good for my people, and my people know what's good for them. They can utilize me as a tool to be their voice to achieve certain fundamentals and goals that they require for the betterment of Eritrea. No one here is working against Eritrea or the people of Eritrea. Only thing we're saying is we want this government removed so we could better our people in technology, resources, and education. That is the only dream we have as justice seekers, right? We don't wish to be Ethiopian. We don't wish to be Djibouti. We don't wish to be Iraq, Iran, none of that. We just want to be Eritrea. We want to free Eritrea. So these kind of words, these words give PFDJ a fear, because these stems or these words that Jonas and I are speaking resonate within certain individuals, and then the uprising starts. So I want everyone to know and understand that PFDJ is worried. That's why they continue to have a system in place to rile their party up. Because if they don't, it will slowly dwindle away. It will slowly die out, and the people will not support. They're extremely worried. That's why the whole festivals, Awa Saeed, you have. I'm not even counting the social media show, or what do you call it? TV shows, the social media TV shows of the ones that come here and call names. I'm not talking, those don't count. Those are only doing it for self-gain. The ones that call names and this and that, don't count though. Those people are specifically designed not to help PFDJ, but to make money for themselves in the name of PFDJ. The actual PFDJ operators are the ones that are coming to your page to make sure you're tired by 50 accounts. They're the ones following you around your house. They're the ones trying to ping your IP address. They're the ones doing campaigns against Yiakl. These are the people you have to worry about. And you guys know who they are. The people that are talking about Meninet and Aurajinet and all this other stuff that we hear, that's just another form of separation. I call it another form of Hegdef. Unity and teamwork. That's all we have to focus on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen. Go ahead, Yoni.
Hey, I forgot one more city that made a big impact. Dallas actually shut down when the so-called Minister of Justice came. They had to stop the event. So that's something that increases their worry, or in other words, increases their fear. And so that's why they're more secretive with this next event that they're trying to do. And so that's where we're at. So I wanted to add that. That's one thing I forgot to say.
Yeah, thank you, Yoni. We're coming up to the end of our show. But I have a couple of questions. Dallas, Yoni mentioned Dallas. Dallas is holding what is supposedly to be a big festival. What could people do? What could young people, especially the ABEs, American-born Eritreans, or the new immigrants, the young people, what could they do? The Dallas festival is going to be carried out, and we know this is not just. This is for brutality, for oppression, suppression. So what could people do? What could young people do to oppose or protest this Dallas event that is going to happen by Hagda.
Okay. So what they can do is join their local Yiakl in the city that they're in, especially in Dallas. Join the local Yiakl over there, and then participate in one of the departments, volunteer in one of the departments, whatever their talents lead them to. That's going to be the number one thing they can do. Number two, make sure they do not go to the event and spread the truth about the advocacy, all the crimes that are happening in Eritrea, all the oppression that's happened in Eritrea, and just galvanize people to work together to be able to help the Eritrean refugees. That's what they can do. Start participating in activities that help individual Eritreans, that help the oppressed Eritreans. Focus on what you can do versus what you can't. All the big moving parts, they're being pushed. All the policies, they're being pushed. So if everyone focuses on what they can do, collectively, we're going to do a lot. So the main thing they can do is just to participate and get active. If for whatever reason you fall in the category of fear, right? I get it. So there's two ways you can help. You can help by participating, but fear is blocking you. So therefore you can help financially. So help the people that have no fear, help the people that do have courage to move on. Now, fear is a big thing. So I completely understand that. The people who are selfish, what they can do is recognize that them being selfish, they're limited on what they'll be able to get, and their name is being ruined, and people are not going to forget. So use that as a motivation to be selfless as opposed to selfish, and then join either Yiakl or join some kind of activity, or send your money to organizations that are doing good for Eritrean people. Period. For the people who are foolish, what they need to do is take a step back. Really pay attention to what you're saying. If you truly believe that Hegdef is right, ask yourself, why don't you live there? Then when you finally answer that question, then start digging into it, understanding, look up virtual principles, see if you're living up to that. And then go from there. And hopefully that leads you towards a path of being educated, a path of being understanding, a path of being loving. If you're evil, we're not worried about you. You're going to be detained. You're going to be arrested. You're going to be prosecuted one level or another here in America, Europe, or in Eritrea, or in Ethiopia. Once there's a pro-justice Eritrean, you'll never be forgotten because you're the evil one who is causing a lot of harm. So that's what it comes down to. So what you can do, in short, is join Yiakl or financially support Yiakl or support organizations that are helping Eritreans, period.
Yeah, thank you, Yoni. And watch Captain Eritrea's show too.
Yeah, you definitely gotta watch Team Freedom. Support, support Team Freedom. Support Captain. I support Captain.
Doing good work. Just to add to what you said, information or education is extremely important. Those people who are in PFDJ, just get out of the echo chamber and try to find or try to understand, read about what the opposition is saying. Then you make your own choice. You make a judgment. Cap, to what I asked Yoni, can you add to that? What can you say about young people and what they could do about Dallas festival?
Absolutely. One person can make a huge difference. I'm under that theory. If one person was to walk out and demonstrate against an event, that draws attention. Now imagine 1,000 people. There's specific or certain ways. First, you have to understand your rights. What are your rights? What is freedom of speech, right? You're in a democracy state, country. What is your rights? You have the right to take a leaflet, go outside an event, as long as it's not private property. If it's private property, then you might require a permit, or you might have to step off the grounds of that private property. But as you encircle that private property, you can hand out leaflets saying, hey, this is happening. This is in support of a dictatorship regime that's oppressing my people. Care for your people. You celebrating for one day is not going to help your people. Think long term. When we free our people and we help our people and remove this dictator, we can celebrate much more. We can celebrate every day if you want. But the short-term celebration is not the end state. That is not the way to go about it. But once you understand your rights, hand out leaflets. Hey, this is what PFDJ is. They're utilizing democratic justice names and terminology to oppress my people. Secondly, more people show up, your voice is heard. If enough people show up, then you might get major news stations like MSNBC, Fox News, or one of the major local KPBS or any one of those stations to come in and see what you're doing. This way you can highlight your voice to the rest of the world and they can understand what's going on. And then doing nothing or remaining inactive, as a brother Jonas said, that means you're part of the problem. You have to do your part. And in order to do your part, you have to understand what's happening. And I know there's a lot of Eritrean programs, Yiakl, this, that group organization that share things in Tigrina. And sometimes they add a header in English. And it's difficult for us who probably don't speak Tigrina or who speak Tigrina but don't write Tigrina to understand. Even though there's Google Translate now, which they approve, right? I know Jonas looking at me, and we can utilize that. What I'm saying is, for all the organizations and groups that are on social media and doing their work, please add an English header to everything you're doing. Right now, I know there's an event in Dallas, right? I know that we have to stop it. Right. But I don't have the 5 W's for this event. I have to go seek and search. Most people are lazy. They want the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, why, right on top, so they could immediately be like, okay, I know how to fight this. And if you could do that for us, to all the organizations out there, it'd be easier for the diaspora to react and engage the situation. There's many ways to combat demonstrations. There was one in Seattle. I went into the building and sat right in front of Ambassador Burhane, who's the key to all this, right in front of him, and had my little situation at that time frame. And I was able to get in because the cops, the police officers, the security guards, although they were hired there for that event, we in solidarity as ex-military service members, they understand. We speak a specific language. I was able to work that angle and take total control of that demonstration. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is, where there's a will, there's a way. If you're just going to sit and party, then our people will be oppressed forever. You have to do your part. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Cap. By the way, thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Everything you said is just absolutely, informative. Both of you, Yoni. Now, I think you touched it earlier. Well, I think Martin Luther King or somebody said that silence is complicity, and you don't have to be. Your heart doesn't have to bleed when a blue-eyed, blonde little girl, something happens. You're crying, but your whole society is being enslaved. How could we? How could we stir up the I don't like the word silent majority, but the young and who are silent but do not understand that they're in complicity with the dictator in promoting this or perpetuating this brutal system. What can we say? How can we get people to? I think you've touched it a little bit, but in a little elaborate way. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own evolution of understanding, and they really have to understand virtual principles. You know what I mean? Like the golden rule, treat others as you wish to be treated, and injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Those principles like that is stuff that's learned over time. There's a lot of young people who understand it, and there's a lot of young people who don't. And so everyone has to do it. So the only thing I can think of is just to, when you meet with Eritreans and so forth, and you talk to them about Eritrea, you just remind them how there's a lot of people suffering, and you explain to them why they're suffering, and just encourage them to participate one level or another. If one Eritrean can help one Eritrean refugee, right, from the diaspora, that means we literally can help all Eritrean refugees overnight. That's the reality of the situation, because they say there's about 120,000 or so in Ethiopia, and several thousands in Sudan and Libya, Uganda. And so there's enough diaspora to help every single refugee. That's the reality of the situation. And so the only thing I can think of that we can encourage them is to remind them how it's important to live up to virtuous principles. Like, for example, you can't make a good deal with a bad person, period. So if you're dealing with a bad individual who has a lack of integrity, don't expect a good outcome. And that goes into your personal life, business life, and advocacy life in general. And so principles, the only thing I can think of. Being their friend is another good thing that we can do with each other. And just, recognizing each other's grievances. That's one thing that's big that we need to be focused on, because every Eritrean, we're a diverse nation, and then there's some Eritreans that don't want to even talk about their grievances and so forth because they don't believe that you'll understand. And so, actually having a conversation addressing the grievances is big. You'll do more good to the Eritrean people if you're friends. You'll do more good if you have mutual respect for one another. That's what it comes down to. And then getting rid of the foolish people. Don't deal with the foolish people. Don't deal with the liars. There's no reason to deal with that. Recently, I had a confrontation with someone who was 100% a liar. And I told them that they're a liar and they're foolish. And that's it. The conversation was done after that. Because what it comes down to, you only want to deal with the people that have the willingness to create peace. There's always going to be people who are trying to break peace. And so you want to only deal with people who are going to have peace. And then when you're dealing with more people like that, now you have a collective. Now you have a movement. Now you have pro-justice. And so that's what it comes down to. So thanks, Amani.
Yeah, thank you, Yanni. Cap, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, can you restate that question, please?
What I was saying was, silence is complicity, and people have, this "I don't care" attitude, because I think Yoni explained it very well. Some don't know, but some just do not care, and some are uninformed. So, how could we bring these people into the fold, into the struggle, or to remind them that there's something bad going on, and they have a moral responsibility or obligation to do something about it, and they're not doing it? And how could we stir them up, so to speak?
Excellent question. So the Eritrean people, we have an issue. It's called passive aggressiveness. Very passive aggressive. So it could be
that describe you, Cap.
Yeah. it could be that because I was military, I'm direct, and Jonas is direct. One thing I appreciate about the diaspora is we usually don't lie, and we'll tell you straight up how it is. But a lot of Eritrean people, to get to a point, we go in a big circle. Dawit, did you know, blah, blah. No, get straight to the point, right? So that's what we appreciate in the diaspora. Culturally, we're passive aggressive. We want to be nice. We want to protect the person's feelings. We have a guest and so on. I get it. But, in the diaspora, we want to be direct. We like direct. I like you to tell me, hey, Captain, you messed up. Don't do that. Got it. Don't beat around the bush. Secondly, the diaspora respect directness, and they respect people that they have something in common with, a commonality. For example, singers like Kiros, Asfaha, singers like the Chura band, certain individual bands or organizations that make music, reach the youth, even Higdef listen to their music, right? This is another method of distributing a message, right, of what's happening in our country. Now, the ones that sit around doing nothing and don't care are the main ones attempting to be Higdef, are the ones waving the flag, acting like they know what Eritrea is, are the ones going to events to just dance and party. These people, until they actually grow and learn what they're fighting for and what their people are going through, is going to take some time. It's going to take some time for them to grow. For the ones that are aware or suddenly woke and understand what's happening within Eritrea, the ones that have never entered Sawa, the ones never entered conscription, only the ones that go visit Eritrea for vacation and come back and tell you how great it is are pretty much fooling themselves, right? Because the world's telling you, right? If men lie, women lie, like Jonas said, and numbers don't. Numbers do not lie. What is Eritrea's GDP? What is Eritrea's slave index? What is Eritrea's population versus now and then? How many Eritrean people have attempted to escape Eritrea? You yourself in the diaspora can research all this and then come to a conclusion of what's happening within Eritrea. There is no need for me or anyone to tell you this. There's Google is your best friend. You can research all this. When one person's in charge of a country for 30 plus years, that's called dictatorship. When a country has no elections for 30 plus years, what is that called? You do your own research. I shouldn't have to tell you. You're smart enough. There's plenty of computers and iPhones and smartphones. So the people are going to want change. They're going to have to strive and achieve and stand for it. Imagine if every Eritrean was like myself, Jonas, Team Freedom, Yiakl, and all these other bright futures. And imagine if you cared about enough about Eritrea that you actually did something about it. That would be the entire population where you would achieve change in a day. It's really that simple. That's how you get the message out. But you got to connect with the youth. And this is what PFDJ is great at. They throw festivals. You know what people say? If I keep you happy, if I keep you laughing, if I keep you dancing, and I keep you drunk, then I have total control of you. That's where we're at right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Cap. Like you said, it's absolutely. Facts don't lie. Facts are stubborn. And if it's bad, it's bad. The country is in a miserable situation, abject poverty, abject suppression. What you have to do is just go and see it. Take a visit. You're absolutely right. The other thing I'd say was we've been talking about bad things. I had a very lengthy discussion in one of our meetings, and the issue came up that Isaiah's main goal is to destroy Eritrea. To destroy Eritrea, the country and the people. In that aspect, he lost. He has not destroyed Eritrea. And how is that? Almost 1 million people came out of Eritrea, but they're thriving everywhere. In enormous numbers, people are getting educated. People are business entrepreneurs. They're raising families, raising children, and hard work. The people are living a comfortable middle class. That's not what Isaiah wanted. What can we say about the positive things that are going on in Eritrean communities all over the world, despite Isaiah's intentions and Higdef's intentions?
What I can say is this: the pro-justice Eritreans, they're not afraid anymore. They're not afraid to show their faces. They're not afraid to be vocal. They're not afraid to engage. They're not afraid to collaborate. They're not afraid. They're motivated to help Eritrean refugees. They're motivated to help Eritrean people. They're motivated to solve disputes. They're motivated to make allyship with different countries and organizations. That's where we are. So that's the positive thing I can say about the situation. And then just a reminder, Italy wasn't able to take down Eritrea. British wasn't able to oppress Eritrea. Haile Selassie wasn't able to oppress Eritrea. Mengistu got taken out. So now who's next? Isaias Afwerki, PFDJ. It's next. So Eritreans have the ability to work together, to find a way. The main thing is, I think the solution is going to be for us is to recognize the grievances that have been happening to our diverse population, have an agreement in governance, and then from there work in solidarity to get there. It's that clear. It's that simple. That's what it comes down to. And the 4 things I told you why people support PFDJ, really, really attack that. There's no time for kolet. Focus on what the issues are, focus on what the solution is, and then execute it. that's where we are right now. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, perfect. Cap, you got anything to say about positive things? People like you who are rising stars. Huh?
Oh no, thank you, sir. Yeah, Eritrea, Eritreans, my people, our resilient people. Imagine a nation when historically slavery has ended in the world and yet are still enslaved all the way to 2022. When I say enslaved, I'm not saying the entire population is in chains. I'm not saying the entire population is forced into everything, because there are those in the diaspora, right? We were lucky enough to escape. Um, but in 2022, slavery has not ended in Eritrea. That's what it really sums down to. That's what it really boils down to. Imagine the resiliency of a nation to continue to survive despite all odds. That that in itself defines my people, my country, as resilient, strong, God-fearing, God's children. They may not receive their rewards in this lifetime, and for those that have passed will receive their rewards in the next lifetime. But I will tell you this: the reason why I fight, because I have hope for my people. If they're willing to sustain this much torture and famine and hunger with nothing, with no future, no dreams. Children that are born in Eritrea can't even dream. Their dream is already scripted for them. Their dream is already written for them. When you're born, you will go to school if you get lucky, or tend the fields, and then go into conscription into Sawa and serve your country and go fight for the sovereignty of another dictator, or go die in Ethiopia. It's already written for them. And yet they still continue to aspire to be the best. When an Eritrean is removed from Eritrea, they become successful and wealthy, whether it's business or they become doctors, they become lawyers. This is a testament to how brilliant the Eritrean people are. They just need a chance. We could be Wakanda forever. We just have to work for it. We have to have the opportunity to be Wakanda forever. But how can we be Wakanda forever if you're mentally enslaved and your brothers that are outside in the diaspora are helping enslaving you? There are doctors in San Francisco that want to stand up a hospital in Eritrea. The dictator told them no. And the doctor didn't request any funding source. He wanted to do it himself. They told him no. I have friends that are Eritrean that could do solar panels and solar systems and create electricity and water systems. Clean energy, clean water are not authorized. You have to ask yourself why. There's many positive things within Eritrea. And one thing I can say about Eritreans is, regardless if they're sent to war for the right reason or the wrong reason, they will fight for their country tooth and nail, because they understand the expenses. They understand what has been lost to achieve the country called Eritrea. Population is fleeing. 4,000 to 5,000 a month are fleeing, right? And their dangerous journey to escape Eritrea. Another testament of resiliency. As they're tied down in Libya and their kidneys are harvested or sold into prostitution or illegal activities, you still see them surviving. This is what Eritreanism is, my brothers and sisters. This is what my people are. They're resilient, they're strong. You can't hold us down. You throw an Eritrean in a different country, one Eritrean, he or she will grow to become everything within that nation, and that nation will respect them. Just like America, Russia, everywhere else, you can see Eritreans prosper and grow, but they need the opportunity. Now imagine 5-6 million Eritreans with the same opportunity. Imagine what we could do for the world. It gives me goosebumps. This is what Eritreans us. Yeah, there's a lot of Eritreans that are great. We have to also expose those people and say, hey, like Abel Mahari, he's in Team Freedom. Excellent, brilliant. Olympic gold medalist, all kinds of champion. These are the people that we have to put out there and be like, look, he's Eritrean. Binyam, our bicyclist, look what he's doing. These are Eritrean excellences. We have a lot. We just have to showcase them. Thank you.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hallelujah.
Amen.
There was one question that I before I end this show, there was one thing that I forgot. There are some duped um, young Eritreans who sought asylum everywhere in the United States or Europe, but they're frequenting in the um, Hagdef or PFDJ uh, events or functions. What should be done about this people? Can we just talk to them and try to change their mind, or do we have any moral obligation to report them to authorities? Because this sounds like deception. You say that the government of Eritrea is brutal, killed me, persecuted me, but you turn around, you're supporting the persecution of the person you left behind. How should you and I and all of us who are here, justice seekers, should deal with this?
Okay, so I'll say it this way: there's a limitation on how many people can take refuge in America. There's a limitation on how many people can seek asylum and so forth. There's a limitation. So what happens when you have an Eritrean that's pro-government taking the spot of a person who's against the government? He's hurting the people twice. One, he's keeping the person who really wants to get out of the country from coming here. Two, he's supporting the government once he gets here. So report him. It's that simple. Anybody who does false political asylum needs to be reported because they're hurting our people two ways for their own selfishness. If you're going to come here as asylum, you better not be supporting the government. It's that clear. It's that simple. Because it's not unlimited people can't come to America, Canada, Europe. Unlimited people can't come. There's a limitation on it. That's why there's long delays to help Eritrean refugees. The fact that there are Eritrean refugees is a core issue in itself. There shouldn't be refugees. There can be migrants, but not refugees. You have a right to move anywhere you want. But the reality is you also have a right to take refuge. And the fact that you're taking refuge is the core issue. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. It's that clear.
Clear. My line of thinking might be towards yours. Cap, you got anything to say about this?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So each one teach one. And how do we do that? Each one of us has a neighbor that's Higdef or pro government or whatever. That's not the issue. That is not my issue. If you come to America and you're pro science or pro government, that's your right. Whatever, freedom of speech, right? Whatever. If you come to America and you lie about immigration status, it's called immigration fraud. What I challenge all the social media platforms and all the organizations to do is for your state, for your city, find the immigration INS number, contact number, and post it on your website. I'll even do that. I'll lead it. On Captain Eritrea Team Freedom, I will find Seattle and San Diego and California, specific cities, and I'll post the INS contact number. And each one of you that actually sees people, if someone tells you, hey, I like Isaias, that's not a crime. If someone tells you I like Isaias and they're working to support the government, that's a crime. You get it? That's the crime. So what do? You report them. You get that number where no one has to look for it, and you flood report it constantly. Hey, Jonas Waldo supports Isaias support. I know you don't, Jonas, but he's doing this. He's an example. Yeah, he's working here. He's doing this. He belongs to this organization. He's part of this festival. This festival is ran by this organization, and you could trace it back to this. And this PFDJ is traced to Higdef. Higdef is traced to Abraha Kasa, Yamane Monkey. And you could actually create a pyramid of network, starting from Ambassador Berhane in the United States of America and trickles way down to each individual organization and city, and then have a contact number. Law enforcement will look at that and be like, wow, they did all work for us. Excellent. At that point, you report every single individual that's out there supporting Higdef because they are committing immigration fraud. That's what it is, just like Jonas said. But a lot of people know, well, they have kids, they have a family. How one undo? He's our brother. He's our sister. Passive aggressiveness. No. You need to think clearly. Friend or foe? Ally or enemy? There is no middle line. If my mother is in the middle in between me and Isaias, my mother has to go. I need to get to Isaias. Because if I sacrifice my mom to get to Isaias, I've just saved 5 million people. If you can think like that, we will win. But all this passive aggressiveness, 1 second you're kissing and hugging and saying, hello, my brother. The next you're in the same, Dahan, he's my brother. And you're enjoying tea with him. He's either your enemy, he's your friend. Make a decision. That's where we're at. There's no more ma'khal, matsauti, or staying in the middle and playing that we're kumbaya, my lord. That's what's gotten us 30 years of suffering. No more kumbaya. Take care of the problem. Each one of you take care of the problem. I'll do my part. You do your part. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. I kind of enjoy what we're doing here, and you guys are fantastic. And I can't. I'm very delighted and honored to be discussing this with you. I think we're at the end of our show. Actually, we're 10 minutes above. But last thing I wanted to say, or to give you the opportunity, what is in the pipeline for you guys? Yoni, you're in the diplomacy, and there's a whole lot of works you guys are doing in the Yiakl. If you can just inform people what you guys are doing and what you want to do, what you plan to do. And the same thing goes Cap. What's cooking? About the same question for you too. Go ahead, Sir Yoni.
Okay, so it's hard to say everything that I'm doing because some of it has to be secret, and then the results will speak for itself. But what I can say is we are pushing for policies for the Eritrean refugees, for them to be able to get humanitarian visas, as opposed to waiting, similar to the way Ukraine is being helped. And so we're pushing policy changes for with the UNHCR. And luckily, Doctors Without Borders are pushing for the same policies. So that's good. We're going hand in hand with them. The other activity is we're working with different organizations to see if we can do some advocacy together. Let me see. Today I'm going to go to an event. They invited me, the Democratic Party. They're opening the office over here in Las Vegas. So they invited me. So some of the federal politicians are going to be there as guests. And so I'll have an opportunity to speak with them again. And so, and also the biggest thing is recruiting. We're recruiting more diplomats. We got 2 new recruits coming up pretty soon, and around the whole USA. So the more diplomats we have, the better. And then that way we can speak to the congressional offices. As of right now, we're laser focused on HR 6600 and S3199, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They're the ones who's going to put it on the floor to vote. We're hoping that gets done literally before August, if not in August, in September. So that's what we're pushing for right now. There's a lot of other projects that we're going on, and I do not want to share it right now, right here, but I can tell you this: it's going to benefit the Eritrean people, and it's going to benefit the movement of pro-justice. And when it does come out, it's going to be big. That's the best thing I can tell you. Big, large.
Thank you, fantastic. And you are involved in Click to Tweet campaign, and writing letters to State Department, all kinds of places, the UNHCR. So you need people, and if there are people who are willing to write letters or to help in the Twitter campaign, you could contact Jonas. Cap, what's going on with your show? What's coming up?
Yes, sir. So it's often asked by many people, hey, you guys do a lot of talking on social media, but where's the action, Dawit? I will look at action. You guys, all this talking on social media, where's the action? Well, I can tell you this, brothers and sisters. One, let me tell you, Jonas Waldo is a brilliant young man. He's very motivating. There are times he supports me and makes sure I'm on the right track. I consult with a group of people before I make decisions and make shows and all that. The most beautiful thing about what we do as Justice Seekers is, let me tell you about Team Freedom and Yiakl and all these organizations. We talk it, but we're also on the ground. If there's a Salamal selfie, I'm there. I don't care whose it is. As long as that Salamal selfie or demonstrations for justice and freedom or peace with our Tigrayan brothers and neighbors or whatever, I'm there on ground. If it's holding someone accountable, I'm there. If it's responding, addressing, and fixing the wrongs of what other social media lights might do, I'm there. Another thing you have to understand, there's a lot of things we speak about. There's a lot of things we don't speak about. And that's where the fear factor comes for Higdef. One thing we did for Team Freedom, though, is we changed it. We reformed it into a accountability group. I might speak politically, but our organization is all about accountability. If you're doing wrong, you will be held accountable. I don't care who you are, what you are, who you think you are. You'll be held accountable. That includes myself. If I'm wrong, they will hold me accountable. You have to understand that. So with that said, there's a lot of things in the works. My goal, as I've told you, is plain as day, is to take down PFDJ. My goal is to take down white PFDJ, PFDJ Higdef within America, US, within Europe. My goal is to dismantle the organization. And the good thing about it is the way we're networking, it's not solely on me. I'm just one grain of sand within that movement. There's a bunch of people together collectively working to do this. They might not be outspoken like me. I might be the figurehead that does the speaking. That's because I'm supposed to. But the people in the background doing the work, you won't see. In the future, within a year or two, you will see major changes. And this is my hope, because we're working. And one brilliant move that we've accomplished is, although I don't speak Tigrina as well as others, I've been practicing. I am now connected with Bright Future. I am now connected with Yiakl. When I say at the highest levels, with some of the leaders in their organization. I am connected to our brother Asena. I'm connected to every Justice Seeker group that's official. All I have to do is pick up the phone and be like, hello. Imagine this type of network. Despite our political differences, we all have one commonality: freedom of Eritrea, freedom of our people, and the welfare of our people. As long as we have this common goal, we can all work together. And when the time comes and our people call upon us to serve them, then we will be ready to serve. Understand this. So we are doing a lot of things on ground. And the beautiful part about it is I have a bridge. I have the biggest bridge ever. His name is Jonas Waldo. He's part of Baito Yiakl. He's also part of Team Freedom. That's how simple it is for me. And I have a bridge everywhere else, and I love it. And if you guys support us, we will achieve our goal faster. If you don't support us, we're going to achieve our goal. It'll just be at a slower rate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good closing statements. I'm very delighted for you guys to be the guest for Baito Yiakl USA. And unless you have last thing to say, this will be the end of the show. So until next time, so long. So we're done.
I can't. Bring me up.
Yeah, we're gone.
Okay. Are we live still?
Yeah, we're still live. See you soon.
يعقل حياة المعقل يعقل حفظت في سوكل نيتا زماكل يعقل حياة المعقل يعقل حفظت في سوكل نيتا زماكل زمان من حق يعقل بمبار تدهيبنا لنا بدرجة نورها مرحبا والني يعقل بنبت زبنا نمدحا نرسل زمان حفاشزي سوكل من إريترا زماكل يأكل حيا المعبل يأكل حفاشزي سوكل من إريترا زماكل يأكل معبل يزوفر كم نهبي مسيحار نتزكالا لابس بالمكس الخاص يأكل بهزبي سبار مقالافات حقيف كل وحال بخل يأكل حيان معبل يأكل حفاش تزبي سوكل نير دراز زماكل من مول بي يأكل نبال الروح بس ما اسمه وينات بتنقل خيدو يأكل